Good evening. Well, the good news is I ate today. Yesterday I tried eating and one of my favorite foods actually, and I just could not, I couldn't get it down at all. And so luckily earlier today I was able to make me a little more of it and eat. So I don't know what's all completely with that. So if there were those of you praying for me to feel better, thank you. If you're of the praying kind, pray for peace, please. That's what I probably could benefit from most. I'm worn out. I am completely worn out. So anyway, shift gears a little bit. The show tonight is titled Funny because I couldn't think of a title, and I remembered back many moons ago an HBO special on TV called Not Necessarily the News, and it was hilarious. It was back during the early 80s, and maybe that's what kind of one of the things that might have actually even got me a little bit, I don't know, might have planted a seed, because I didn't really pay much attention to the news per se, but I'll tell you what, when that show came on, I was watching it because it added humor. There was really not anything of value that it had. It was just humor. Thank you, Darlene. Yeah, I hope I get out of this. I really hope I get out of this. It's very testing. Literally everything I've got. So anyway, this show that I used to watch, it was hilarious. Maybe some of you have caught it. And I couldn't resist. I had to find at least a clip or an episode or something like that, just because I had to see it again, old times. And so I did, and it was funny because I had it on, I was watching it, and got just past 11 minutes into it, and I actually, I'm pretty sure I've seen every episode, and so anyway, this episode came on, and I knew right from the beginning of the episode which one it was, and sure enough, they have this one skit in here that would absolutely get them canceled today. And so because of that, I'm going to play it here for you. I want to play it here for you. So anyway, just a real quick, I'm hoping it's under 30 seconds because I don't want to get got. But anyway, and there's music, so yeah, I'm probably going to get got, but whatever. Anyway, enjoy. That would so get them canceled today. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious when I saw that. That was it's kind of like the type of humor almost kind of reminded you almost of like Airplane the movie. It was that kind of stupid humor. Great show. I miss that type of humor. You know what? I miss the freedom for the American people to be able to engage in that type of humor. That alone, I wish we could get back. Man. News. Wow. First off, there was an incident today that I'm sure you've heard about 3 dozen times by now at the Hoover Dam. And there was, I believe, a transformer. I haven't followed up on it. They probably even have said much more details. I didn't need to. I mean, it's kind of common sense. But I knew that there were going to be a ton of channels that were going to be hitting it, and oh my God, this is the end. It was demons, or it was Russians, or it was, Antifa, something. But yeah, it was just, they even had the fire out before the fire department got there. So I'm looking real quick here to see. I believe it was a transformer. I don't think it was anything more. Yeah, it is. Anyway, non-issue. There's a lot of stress on the systems, and I know they're not running at full capacity or anything like that, but nonetheless, that's actually probably reason for more stress to be on the system, and it's going to happen. It's been really, really hot, and so this stuff is going to happen. I would say the bigger concern involving Hoover Dam, as you know, would be the water levels. I mean, that's freaky. That is beyond freaky what they're dealing with the water levels. So, man, I don't know. But, yeah, just the thing at Hoover Dam with the transformer, not a big deal. It happens. Biggest thing is somebody was standing right there with a camera going to catch it. That's the biggest thing. So anyway, trying to think aside from that. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Trying to think aside from that. There's a lot of craziness going on. That's kind of the other reason I titled the show what I did. It's just really insane. I think we're not far from a hell of a ride. There are also things that are happening, starting to happen again between like the United States and Russia. I'll be talking about, there's another travel warning, which isn't an end-all, be-all by any means, but it is an indicator, and it is another, point to remember. Things are ramping up, and I'm pretty sure that at this point, nations are pretty well committed. I don't think they're going to come out and say that, but I think they're pretty well committed to go to war. And I think we've been seeing the build up for quite some time to that. And when I say quite some time, I'm not talking about since Russia invaded Ukraine. I'm talking going back easily a few years. Easily. I don't know. I don't think the U.S. was really building up. Well, I mean, Trump was in office. At that point, we were building up. But before then, we hadn't really built up anything with our military. We've been kind of tearing it down. And so Trump got in office, and he funneled a bunch of money into it and got, a bunch of things going again. But we haven't been building on a large scale like China has been and like Russia has been. Especially China. And, gotta mention Iran. They're another one that's really been pumping the money into their military. So I think that, quite some time ago, other nations had kind of made up their mind to go to conflict. And I think they saw this day coming. I think we're there. Now, I'm not so worried about some all-out nuclear conflict or anything like that. I really... I really don't see... I don't know that any nation would really be that dumb. I don't even know if Kim Jong-un would be that dumb. I don't know. But I do think that they would most certainly commit a cyber attack and take down our grid. Most certainly. EMP, I don't know. Again, that's kind of getting in the direction of a nuclear conflict. They can hit the power grid through the internet and disable it. And while it wouldn't necessarily, it depended on what they did, it wouldn't necessarily blow up a whole ton of equipment like an EMP would. But, it would definitely cause enough problems that it could take a little bit of time to get back online. I could see something like that. That's a hell of a solid punch in the arm, but it's not a hit in the head with a baseball bat. So I could see that. I don't think that anybody's going to be willing to jump into this with everything all up front. I do believe that it will probably start out with smaller flare-ups. So, and I think we may see that here on the homeland. You have to understand, the entire battlefield has changed, and you probably get tired of me saying that, but I'm not talking necessarily about the technological battlefield this time. I'm talking more about the guerrilla battlefield. Now, that's something we haven't really seen in this nation. It's not something that we have to deal with, and the closest thing to that would be, say, the mass shootings. This would be more or less mass shootings on a military type scale from whoever, Iran, North Korea, wherever. I'm just throwing countries out there. I don't know that that's really Russia's MO to commit terrorism, but at least not directly. I mean, they do it just like the U.S. through proxies, And I think we're going to see that in our country. I think we're going to see flare-ups. I think we're going to see terror attacks. I'm actually pretty astonished that we haven't seen more of it thus far. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know why. Not for a second do I buy that our government is that good. But at the same time, when I sit there and I think about it, it's hard for me to believe that you ain't got at least a few more whack jobs out there, you know what I mean? And I don't mean people that's in crisis that, believe it or not, a lot of these, and I'm not defending them or anything, I'm just speaking to the fact, a lot of these, shooters and these mass shooters and stuff are in crisis or in some type of a mental crisis. Terrorism isn't that, which blows my mind. I mean, can you imagine strapping on a vest that's got high explosives all over it and willingly and knowingly walking into a crowded area and pushing the button? Could you imagine that? I can't. But you know what? Our enemies can. And they do. They don't just can. They do. I don't get it. I don't understand that. But I'm smart enough to know that I wasn't cut from the same cloth in the same place either. I'm also smart enough to know never to underestimate my enemy. I think we're going to see some pretty rocky stuff coming up. But anyway, trying to think if there's anything else. Not that I can think of. Just hot as hell. I hope everybody's staying cool. We got one hell of a heat wave coming. I heard somebody saying something about it did. Oh, it might have been. I think I caught the porch time. I think I caught Danny's porch time earlier, and I think he was saying something about it wasn't. It from I guess what he's heard, it's not supposed to let up. Not until I forgot when he said. A while. I think he might have said September or something. But and another really interesting video to watch. Mayhem Country Living did a video earlier, and I'm trying to think of the title of it. Hang on, I'll give it to you. History. Let's see. Beware of people behaving badly. Mayhem Country Living. Check that video out. I was like, wow. That's crazy. So he talks about an incident that happened in, I believe he said northern Alabama this morning. And, wow. Other than that, let's see. Trying to think. Oh, somebody asked me a question on social media. Anyway, sorry, I'm not here for that. I'm here for the news. No, when things flash up, sometimes I'm just like a squirrel. So, squirrel. Trying to think. If there was anything else. I can't think of anything else just off the top of my head. Let me get to the headline, not headlines, but let me get to the tabs I have open, and then we'll do the headlines. And after the show, I get to take myself out. I mean, I got to take the trash out. Alright. Let's see. I guess you guys might want to go along for the ride. There we are. Explosion rocks Hoover Dam in the U.S. Ooh. I'll just read the first couple of paragraphs here. A fire broke out after an explosion at Hoover Dam, a major hydroelectric power plant on the border of U.S. states Arizona and Nevada on Tuesday morning. The fire was put out by the time firefighters from nearby Boulder City arrived on the scene, but the moment of the explosion was captured by a tour group. "My goodness, something just blew up," someone can be heard saying in a short video posted on Twitter by Christy Hairston, a writer based in Nashville, Tennessee, who was visiting the dam with a group of other tourists. A pillar of thick black smoke can be seen rising from the power plant at the bottom of the dam. Says Hairston's video was posted at 10:11 local time. By 10:51, Boulder City officials said the fire had been extinguished before their fire brigade had arrived on the scene. According to the publicly posted plans of the dam, the explosion took place in the area housing the turbines and transformers. The causes of the explosion and fire or the extent of the damage caused are as yet unknown. The Bureau of Reclamation, a federal water management agency that operates the dam and controls water in the western U.S., has not issued a statement on the incident as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. The massive dam across the Colorado River, named after former President Herbert Hoover. Oh, I'm not going to go into the history of it. I'm not going to tell you the damn history of the dam. I don't think there's really anything more in there. The power plant is capable of producing 2,704 megawatts and powering 1 million homes at full capacity, but recent drought affecting the southwestern U.S. has led to declining water levels in Lake Mead and cut the power production by a third, the Bureau of Reclamation spokesman told local media in May. So, yeah, bad situation all around out there. I don't know what they're going to do. And then you got cities like Las Vegas and other places that their water gets piped in, period. I mean, that's it. There's no digging wells. Their water gets piped. I can't imagine that. I've never lived anywhere like that. And to be honest, I don't think I would. I've always been the kind of person that, I've always been aware of my surroundings and always wanted to be places to where I had the basic things no matter what. Here you've got water. You're going to get water no matter what. You're going to find it around here. And it's Illinois, so it's all fresh water and, not saying clean, but fresh. It's not that much of a deal here, man. I don't know what they're going to do. I couldn't do that. Could you imagine? Think just for a second. Could you imagine living in Las Vegas? Next thing you know, 8 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden the water quits and doesn't come back. I cannot even imagine. Because you got to understand, a lot of people may think, well, just go somewhere. Get the hell out of there. Yeah, I agree, totally. But I can imagine there's a whole hell of a lot of people that aren't going to have the ability to do that. What do? That's water. I mean, not to sound sick, but, humans have been known in bad circumstances to have to, I'll just say, eat their own. Yeah. But what are you going to do? I'm saying, what are you going to do about water? You don't even have that alternative. It's crazy. I don't know. I couldn't see living there. I just couldn't do it. Let's see. Moving on. This is concerning to me. Very much so. Let me have a sip of coffee. Biden weighing climate emergency declaration. And this concerns me. Biden administration is considering the declaration of a climate change emergency in response to congressional inaction on the issue. It's unclear when and if such announcement will come, though the White House has been considering a move as early as Wednesday. Two sources familiar with the discussion on Tuesday told The Hill that the announcement could come Wednesday, the same day that Biden is expected to discuss climate during a trip to Massachusetts. A third source also told The Hill that the climate emergency was under White House consideration. By Tuesday afternoon, one of The Hill's sources said that while the White House had planned to declare the emergency as soon as Wednesday, it had since advised that it will not do so on that day. The Associated Press separately I don't know where I got that wrong. The Associated Press separately reported Tuesday afternoon that the White House would hold off from the declaration on Wednesday. The Washington Post first reported late Monday that the White House was considering declaring the emergency as soon as this week. The White House announced Tuesday that Biden will travel on Wednesday to Somerset, Massachusetts to deliver remarks on tackling climate change. A White House official declined to directly comment on whether Biden will pursue a climate emergency declaration, saying only that many options are under consideration. The President made clear that if the Senate doesn't act to tackle the climate crisis and strengthen our domestic clean energy industry, he will. We are considering all options and no decision has been made, the official said in an email. So hang on. We don't know how we're going to come up with what we need for the demand now. Because of policies that he's already either done or undone, he's put us in a hell of a situation when it comes to energy. We're getting some of our oil from Russia. And what blows my mind is turning around and taking some of our energy and some of our oil out of our strategic national reserves, and it winds up like with China. So we're getting oil from Russia. We're giving our national strategic reserve oil to China. And Potato Head is shutting everything down. I mean, how do you remain in office and do what he's doing Isn't there something somewhere? I thought we were supposed to have like a sergeant at arms or something that was supposed to not have his head up his ass. Her, I'm sorry, it's a female. I can't remember her name. I just don't, I don't know. We've got a hell of a time coming, folks. Get ready. And I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything like that. But this is going to come crashing down. There's just no way that it can't. And then we got this article out of Sputnik. I saw this headline come in. I'm like, great. Raisi says U.S. must leave Syria ASAP as Putin lambasts Washington's destructive policy. It's here, and I'd probably say his name wrong, but Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi is hosting the 7th summit of Astana guarantor states in Tehran with the participation of Russian and Turkish leaders Vladimir Putin and Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The three leaders are discussing ways to end the decades-old Syrian conflict. Speaking on Tuesday in Tehran, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, I have no idea, called on the United States to immediately remove its military forces from eastern Syria as well as the entire Middle East region. Raisi also condemned the regular Israeli airstrikes on Syria, saying they violate the territorial integrity of Syria, destroy peace and international security. The Iranian president stressed that the security of Syrian borders should be ensured by Syrian forces. And that's something else that I'll never be able to understand. How is it that the United States and Israel can just do whatever the hell they want? I don't get it. These countries don't want us there. And not only are we there, we're bombing them. I don't get it. You know, one very, very simple thing that I've always had the ability to do is put the shoe on the other foot. Every time. Why? Because how in the hell am I going to understand a situation unless I look at it from more than one angle? I try to look at every damn thing in life with as many angles as I can. I spend more time playing devil's advocate with things than anything else. I don't know. And I think about, of course, the good book. And everybody's almost got their thing that I think when it comes to Revelation that they pull out that that's their sign, right? And I know Bears is the two witnesses. He said that, and I hope he doesn't take that quite so. I think he takes it more literal than what he should. Mine, personally, is Damascus being destroyed. To me, that's my, okay, it's on. And so anytime stuff happens around there, I look at that, and that's kind of automatically where my head goes. And I'm like, okay, what's the chances of Damascus getting wiped off the map? Oh, we may be getting closer. Alrighty. This one is, I covered this. I talked about this back when it happened. Let me have a sip of coffee. It really struck me and truly bothered me. You had, and I mean, it is what it is. There was a South African tavern, and there was like 21 teenagers in the tavern, and they just all died. And it didn't look like anything was violent or anything like that. People were like slumped over tables, people like laying on the floor, like they just died. And so anyway, some of the information is coming back from that incident. Apparently they found methanol in the blood of the teens. This here says the toxic chemical methanol has been identified as a possible cause of the deaths of 21 teenagers at a bar in South African city of East London last month. Methanol was found in all of their bodies, and investigations are continuing to determine the levels of the toxic chemical were enough to have killed them. Methanol has been detected in all the 21 individuals that were there. However, there is still progressive analysis of the quantitative levels of methanol and whether it could have been the final cause of death, said Dr. Litha Madiwani, Eastern Cape Provincial Deputy Director for Clinical Service, said at a press conference in Eastern London Tuesday. Authorities are still awaiting the conclusive results, which are being conducted at a laboratory in the city of Cape Town, he said. Methanol is a toxic form of alcohol, and you know all that, I'm sure. It's not yet known how the youngsters ingested the methanol. I think that's probably pretty obvious. Alcohol poisoning and inhalation of carbon monoxide have both been ruled out as possible causes of death, although traces of both were detected in the bodies of all 21 victims, said Madiwani. No, I didn't catch that they had traces of carbon monoxide. The teenagers died at the Inyobeni Tavern in East London Scenery Park Township in the early hours of June 26, shocking the country and resulting in several investigations by the police and liquor license authorities. Many of the teens, ranging in age from 13 and 17, were found dead in the tavern with their bodies strewn across tables and couches. Others died after they were rushed to nearby health facilities. South Africa's police will be guided by the final results of the toxicology analysis to determine whether anyone will face criminal charges for the 21 deaths, National Police Minister Becky Cele had said. The owner of the Inyobeni Tavern and some employees were arrested and are currently out on bail as they face charges related to the violation of liquor trading laws, including the sale of liquor to children. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke at mass funeral for the teens and vowed his government would take action to prevent alcohol from being served to children under the legal drinking age of 18. The deaths of the young people at the bar in East London are separate from the shootings at 3 bars in South Africa earlier this month, in which a total of 22 people were killed. In all 3 incidents, the suspect opened fire on patrons before speeding off in their vehicles, and notably the attackers did not rob the victims. In the worst incident, gunmen burst into a bar, Johannesburg, Soweto Township, and opened fire, killing 16 people. So, you know, I find it kind of bizarre that the way that this is written, not necessarily the way that it's written, but the way that it's dealt with. Okay, so we've got 21 teens that were all together in a bar. And they've got methanol in their system. And apparently, even some carbon monoxide in their system. Apparently, that's what, said they found traces of it. There's tons of questions here, but the first one really that comes to mind, in all honesty, is, was it just bar patrons targeted, or was it specifically the teenagers targeted? And that's my number one big question about this. This is messed up, but the way this is written, it almost, they released the folks, and, they were only arrested basically over the sale of liquor to minors. But they kind of almost act like they don't expect any hokey pokey. You know what I mean? It's weird. You know? I don't know. We'll see. There'll be more information on this. But, yeah, that one kind of definitely stuck in my mind when I read that when it happened. Alright. Let me have a couple of vapes. Got 4 more tabs open. Oh. Alright. China issues another warning to the U.S. Beijing warned Washington that it would take resolute and strong measures should U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visit Taiwan, China's foreign ministry said on Tuesday. Commenting on reports regarding Pelosi's anticipated trip, apparently scheduled for next month, Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian said that he would have a grave impact on Sino-American ties, or that it would. That would be a good thing to call her. The spokesman also said that if it visited Taipei, she would violate the One China policy and existing agreements between Washington and Beijing. China firmly opposes this as it will have a grave impact on the political foundation of the bilateral relations, Zhao pointed out. If the U.S. were to insist on going down the wrong path, China will take resolute and strong measures to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. All of the ensuing consequences shall be borne by the U.S. side. Earlier on Tuesday, the Financial Times reported, citing persons familiar with the situation, that it plans to visit Taiwan in a show of support amid pressure Beijing is putting on the island. Should the trip take place, it would be the most senior U.S. lawmaker to set foot on Taiwanese soil in more than 20 years. I wished I could think of a joke, but if I could, it would probably get me droned or something. The last U.S. House Speaker, thank God, couldn't have been as ugly as that. Oh God, no, I'm even wrong. I'm even wrong about that. I was going to say that the last House Speaker couldn't be more ugly than her, but that was Newt Gingrich, so, wrong. Zhao Lijian also pointed out that China is adamant in its opposition against any official contacts between the U.S. and Taiwan. Congress is is that part of the job description? Do you have to be like the ugliest human being in the country in order to qualify to be the, Sorry, I'll stop. Maybe. I'll try. Man. Anyway, no really need to read all of it, but things aren't getting any better along those lines either. And as I said earlier, they've been preparing for a very long time. And not only do I think that they're about as ready as they'll ever be for this, I think that they're kind of walking us right into it right now. So, I don't think these countries are stupid. And that is if there's truly a beef between nations and this just isn't a dog and pony show. I think at this point, both China and Russia, and probably Iran, maybe North Korea, have long well known that the only way that they're going to get peace is to put the genie in the bottle. Unfortunately, we've got a bunch of dumbasses in leadership, and when I say that, I don't mean just the administration. And we can't sit down and even have a damn conversation. I mean a real one. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And that's One of the very reasons that I wonder if it is a dog and pony show. Ukraine shows ambition to be polygon test area. Ukraine has invited foreign arms manufacturers to use it as a polygon-like site for testing new weapons in battlefield conditions, the country's defense minister Alexei Reznikov said on Tuesday. In an interview with the Atlantic Council, the U.S.-based think tank, Reznikov said that, in his opinion, Ukraine can already be considered as essentially a testing ground. Many weapons are now getting tested in the field in the real conditions of the battle against the Russian army, which has plenty of the modern systems of its own, he explained. Stressing that Ukraine is a trusted partner and needs all sorts of weapons, Reznikov revealed that the government is interested in building up the country's testing ground potential. We are sharing all the information and experience with our partners. We are interested in testing modern systems in the fight against the enemy, and we are inviting the arms manufacturers to test their new products here, the defense minister said. He added that his offer could provide a good chance for Poland, the U.S., France, Germany, and other countries to test their equipment. Give us the tools, we will finish the job, and you will have new information, Reznikov said. Extending his gratitude to the U.S. and its allies for ongoing weapons supplies, the minister stressed that in order to successfully fight the Russian forces, and especially to conduct a counterattack, Ukraine needs more arms, fast and in sufficient quantities. Now, remember, and you always know how they always move that line. That's why you can't give them a line, because they're going to move it. Remember when the weapons couldn't be used in offensive manner? Wonder where the hell that went. He had specified that before all else, Kiev needs air and rocket defense systems, long-range weapons, anti-ship missiles, aviation, tanks, and armored vehicles. Reznikov also hailed U.S.-provided high-mobility artillery rocket systems and added that for an effective counteroffensive, Ukraine would need at least 100 of those. Yeah, why not? Here you go. Holy cow. As of July 8th, the U.S. has provided 12. He only wants, 98 more? 88 more? Why not? The White House revealed on Tuesday that a fresh package of military aid to be announced this week will include more of these weapons systems. Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy? Again, where in the hell is the sergeant at arms? Meanwhile, Moscow has consistently warned Western countries against providing Ukraine with weapons, saying that it would not prevent Russian forces from achieving all the goals of their military operation, but would lead to prolongations, of the conflict and to unnecessary casualties. Russia also made it clear that any foreign arms on Ukrainian territory would be considered legitimate targets. So, I think that this isn't necessarily a request. I think it was an announcement. Seriously, that's the vibe that I get from this. This wasn't a request. This was an announcement. I've said it many times, and I'm going to say it again. The weapons, the equipment that we see in this new conflict are going to be like none ever you imagine. There is so much top secret projects and top secret weapons. We don't even... What we see, the typical planes, the typical helicopters, tanks, Nothing. There's a whole lot of nasty on at least 3 sides of this. So expect that. And I think, like I said, this is an announcement. And I think you're probably going to start hearing before too long of some kind of crazy stuff being used. We'll see. Time will tell. U.S. updates travel advisory on Russia. And I'm not going to spend any time on this, but it is yet another, data point, without a doubt. So, let's see. And this isn't, by the way, just absolutely get your ass home kind of thing. This is kind of the fear-mongering still kind of thing, saying people could be singled out, U.S. citizens could be singled out for detention and harassment. I don't know that I put a lot of stock into that. I think it's just propaganda, fear-mongering, to be honest. When you're a male basketball player that's over there and you get arrested for drugs, the male basketball player that got arrested, the male. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna play that game. Do stupid things, win stupid prizes. Russia don't play around when it comes to drugs. That's all there is to it. Let's see. Scientists, and by the way, we just can't stop at stupid, right? Scientists urged to degender human remains. Yeah, you heard that right. LGBT activists and academics argue that researchers can't know how ancient individuals identified themselves. So we are supposed to completely piss away scientific integrity over some mentally ill ideology. Not happening. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And what's the most bothersome thing about it is that it's allowed to have a platform. And I don't mean on RT, I mean period. That it's allowed to have a platform. And I normally, there's a lot of times, folks, that I'll see things coming in through the news, and there'll be things involving, LGBT and stuff like that. Sometimes it's kind of significant news article. I won't share it. Why? Because why do I want to bring attention to it? But when something like this, something this stupid comes along, it's got to be discussed. This has got to stop. This is ridiculous. Can't even have science. Can't even... And that bothers me, because I'm a science nut. I've always loved science. Always loved science. Speaking of science, kind of a bummer deal, and it's in the headlines. I'll be coming across it. That new telescope that they put up in space, one they just put up, already has received some damage. I think they called it a micrometeorite. Had hit it. Now this thing was designed and built to be able to withstand stuff like that, but apparently the micrometeorite that hit it went beyond what they expected. I guess one of those to be able to hit it. So Apparently, it got whacked a good one and took out a portion of it. It's not completely dead or anything like that. They're still going to be able to use it. Apparently, there's just going to be, I would imagine, if I'm getting this right, I would imagine that it's kind of like you're looking at a picture, and the damaged area is going to be like dead pixels. So that's from my understanding from reading it. But for the most part, I assume it's going to work fine. And that's good, because I like science. I want to, I want to see what's out there. I want to know what's out there. I think it's cool. Let's see. Man. Still vaping on strawberry milk. So, got, I don't know, maybe about 30, 40 milliliters left. Then pink starburst, and I gotta make more juice. Got my pink starburst right there. Alrighty. Let's see. Modi warns against India's addiction. Putin heads to Tehran for talks with Iranian and Turkish leaders. European energy firms rack up debt to cover soaring costs, says Bloomberg. Paris rocked by fatal shooting. Russia sends record volumes of gas to China. Ukraine's FM comments on EU accession deadline. Flights stopped after runway melts. Zelensky wants top prosecutor and spy chief sacked amid treason. Oh, amid treason allegation. Sorry, missed the last word. China dumping American debt, says U.S. Treasury data. And I've been hearing that for some time now. And this is that article. Largest space telescope sustains uncorrectable damage. Top prosecutor fired in Ukraine security shakeup. EU opens accession talks with 2 more countries. Russia can harness BRICS sporting potential, says diplomat. Germany reacts to Gazprom's force majeure gas cutoff claim. EU to soften Russian sanctions, says Reuters. And there's going to be more, by the way, about the gas in Germany. So there'll be more headlines. Elon Musk's father makes sperm donation claim. Yeah. If I recall correctly, he claims that, I believe, people had came to him. Elon Musk's father claims that he'd been asked to donate sperm to an unnamed organization that seeks to create a new generation of Elons, according to an article published by The Sun on Monday. Wow. Kind of nuts. Let's see. Covered that. China reacts to John Bolton's coup planning admission. Iran launches Russian ruble trade. Kiev threatens to destroy Russia's Black Sea fleet. And if they attempt to do that, you're going to see things light up real damn fast. And I think this might happen. I think, and I don't know that they're going to actually be able to wipe out the fleet, but I think they may try. And I think even an attempt, I think you're going to see things light up in a big, big way. Because you have to understand, those weapons that they're launching at the Russian fleet came from us and whoever else, UK or whoever else has given them the rockets. Ireland cracks down on refugee admissions amid Ukrainian influx. EU's Nord Stream expectations revealed. New COVID-19 wave is imminent, says WHO. EU's new Russia sanctions target bikers, actors, and Moscow mayor. Canada can't track weapons it sent to Ukraine, says media. Why would they want to do that? Russia and Ukraine swap remains of fallen soldiers. Zakharova mocks Boris Johnson's fighter jet stunt. High-profile officers killed in Vinnytsia strike, says reports. I don't know how that's pronounced. Nord Stream pipeline to restart gas deliveries on schedule, says Reuters. So all this about supposedly they're going to start it back up, and yeah, they did shut down, and I even forgot about it. We should be, I believe it was the 12th that they had shut down. Be shut down for a week, so we should be nearing. Well, I think it might have been a little over a week, they said. But we should be nearing when they start it back up. So we'll see. That's all we can do is see if they do. If they don't, yeah, things are going to go ugly then too. Russian warns of tougher terms for talks with Ukraine. Ukraine may already have longer-range HIMARS missiles, says Donbass militia, and they probably do. A heat wave kills hundreds in Spain and Portugal. EU scrambles to replenish arms stockpiles. Trump faces demand from 9/11 families over Saudi golf event. Apparently, the Saudis are going to be involved in one of his golf events or something like that, and people are calling for him to, I assume, cancel the golf meet, whatever you call it, the event, and we'll see. I kind of doubt he will because, I'm sure he's going to make money off of that, and that's what matters. Boris Johnson claims deep state plot against Brexit. Scientists... Oh, I covered that one. 3 candidates remain in race to replace Johnson. UK hits all-time temperature record. Breakaway region bordering Ukraine seeks security guarantees. Brits could lose passports for using drugs. Kiev claims EU neighbor has changed course on weapons supplies. EU state wants to see European Parliament dissolved. Wow, I couldn't get that one out. NATO would have attacked Crimea if not stopped, says Iran. Germany admits it can't give much more to Ukraine. China blames U.S. for Ukraine conflict. Ukraine must win by winter, says an official. Kind of think it's going to be close, because I think in order for Ukraine to win against Russia, I'm pretty sure it's going to take all hell freezing over. Let's see. U.S. updates travel advisory on... Oh, I covered that. Putin tells U.S. to stop looting Syria. Hungary clarifies its position on Ukraine weapons. Erdogan and Putin note progress in grain export talks. Putin explains energy price hike. And lastly, Putin comments on meeting with Zelensky. There you go. Now you know why I had the thumbnail for the show, because it's all going in the shitter. So, that's the State of the Union. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I am gonna boogie on out and take care of my manly duties. Take trash out. And I'm gonna get to bed. So, I am out of here. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. Hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.